Alright everybody, this is Frog Snack and thank you for joining me for another Let's Build. This is more of a Let's Edit than Let's Build, however. I'm here in Bridgeport in the Floodgate apartment specifically, fixing what was something of a frustrating problem for me. I have a game that I play off camera that is a remake of a game that I play on the Nintendo DS, which is called Harvest Moon. So of the Harvest Moon series, my favorite characters all come from the Tale of Two Towns expansion, or I keep calling things expansions because I'm in Sims 3. But essentially, Tale of Two Towns were my favorite group of characters, and I've played that game in Harvest Moon for about 4 years now. I've actually not quite completed my game. I think I'm like 6 years into that game, and it gets really crazy. And I have a fan fiction that I've written about it, actually, that has 80,000 words or something. So if you're interested, I actually quite think it's a pretty good fan fiction. But of course, you know, I think that because it's mine. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, unbeknownst to you, this is a video about rebuilding things in The Sims. But really, for me, it solved the problem so that I could sort of play with my favorite characters from a different game that I've recreated in The Sims 3. So if you want to find out more about that, I'll put links in that below. However, this is about how you can change things around significantly and edit apartment buildings and everything else. So I put up a couple of cheats from time to time in the video. This video is wickedly sped up. It took me well over an hour and a half to do this change for the apartments. So I tried to pause here and there so that you could see what I was typing in, but in the end, it has to go so quickly because you only have so much music that you can toss on a video to extend the life of it. So if there is a little bit of silence at the end, I'll try to avoid that. But it's been 3 weeks since I've made this video, and I've had trouble trying to get it uploaded because I keep adding. If you notice, I'm putting in Buydebug cheat there. So I'll explain some of the cheats here in a minute. But essentially, I keep adding music and having to resave the video, and I'm not exactly confident in that process. It was taking too long. So there might be a little bit of quietness at the end of the video. I try to have it so that there's some nice music or something for you to listen to. So that's why I decided to talk a little bit so you can kind of hear the motivations. Now, this apartment complex is actually really cool and just a beautiful setup in general. I'm not too big on playing apartments. I always thought that there's something to be desired from them, and there's almost always something that they can't do that I think that they should do, and this is a perfect example. So in this case, and without too much further explanation, I wanted to have horses in Bridgeport. So no matter what else, you know, you hear me talk about how I love this other game and I'm playing it, etc., it really comes down to the expansions in The Sims 3 cannot really be compatible with each other without you making some major changes. And I have seen some really great worlds that people create that incorporate all of the different expansions, but this is an example of just something that can be a challenge to do. If you want to do it, I would say just do it right and put the time and effort in so that you're happy with the result. It's never going to be easy to make something more compatible or to go through your favorite town and adjust all of the, you know, potentially, you know, put bars and nightlife and that sort of thing all around a town that doesn't naturally come with it. Yes, you can download some lots to help you with that. This is something that I need to put up on the exchange. I'm not sure if the exchange is still working because, of course, they have everything under Sims 4 now. But I would love for you guys to have the access to playing it because it's fun to play. I mean, I've had a lot of fun with it since I created this video, and it's super cool. I was able to add, if you can tell, I'm putting the pool back together there so you still can see what's going on in the pool, but the area around the pool is going to become the training area for the horses. So you can have it all. I mean, you can have everything. This town, Bridgeport, is designed for Sims Late Night, which I think I just called nightlife, but you can go ahead and ignore that if you don't mind. And so essentially they can race and all of that around here, and I can add horses and I can add other things in. But this town doesn't have anything from Showtime, doesn't have anything from, well, I don't know, at least thankfully they all have seasons, right? So there's some things that were done nicely, but one of the things that I wish was built into more lots is pets, right? You have pets that spawn all over the place, but you really don't have the ability to add new lots. So whenever you start a new family in a town that doesn't have, what do you call it? That doesn't have, let's say, gosh, how many pet lots are there? There's 5, 6, 7. There's 3 for the equestrians alone. So there's 3 kinds of lots for horses. You've got different lots for, you have a cat park, a dog park. You potentially have a lot that sells pets, you know, if you've created one especially, but that's not something that comes with the game. So if you want to expand your favorite neighborhood, well, good luck, because you have to add a ridiculous amount of content of your own creation. So this is part of the reason I kind of became a builder, is because there's always something to be desired. But you could argue that for probably any game. So basically this is me putting the stables here in the bottom. So I have it set up that the horses can come out from under the pool, but the Sims can still enjoy the pool. I did play test this lot pretty extensively, and I did create an episode where you can meet the characters. This is centered around, there's 2 equestrian characters in the Tale of Two Towns, or in that game. And so this is kind of for Kana and Georgia, and they're 2 horses, but I kind of made this whole fun, like, teen family group that can stay in this apartment building and, you know, can have their own apartments as well. So Floodgate, I will say, is a unique apartment complex or apartment building, even in Bridgeport, because there's not a shell. So when you need to adjust a lot that has a shell in it, that's going to be a lot more difficult. And even I got really messed up when I was first adjusting it. I had forgotten, because it's been a while since I messed with Bridgeport. It was too difficult in the beginning. I just didn't want to continue to play around when I like apartments, but it's not my favorite thing on the planet. But I will tell you that all of the work I did in putting together this video and putting together the Floodgate apartments, setting it up for horses, once I got into it and was able to play it, and I had horses running around the big city, all I can tell you, it was worth every second. There's a few things in this video you'll notice maybe towards the end where I had to correct a couple things. Actually, you'll notice in the follow-up video that is the little bit of playtesting, where, you know, maybe the horses didn't go out and in quite like I thought, or I missed a spot of paint or something like that. So again, I go back, I recolor everything, I added a little washer and dryer in one of the corners, and I create this massive apartment for the most horsiest loving sim of all creation, so that he can overlook the pool and the horses, and kind of created a almost a what do you call the upper level? But I created a very expensive effect for the person living in this apartment. Now, when I have 5 Sims or whatever moving into the Floodgate apartments, it does make it really expensive all of a sudden to own, because so much of the building is unlocked to them. So I'm going to get into Buydebug right now is it has to be on for you to see the little question mark that's above everything in the buy menu. That also has to be filtered. If you see the chair is filtered on screen there, which is where you buy, you know, anything that's according to the buy item and not buy room. So if you go to room, that little question mark icon won't be there. So when you start using Buydebug, you'll want to use it with the chair highlighted in your menu. So, but it's just Control plus Shift plus C brings up the cheat menu, and then you can go to Buydebug. I usually will play with Testingcheatsenabled on, which is another thing that you type as all one word, of course, a space and then the word on. And beyond that, that's when you start to really enable the game to get into the cheat mode. So really, there's a lot of play testing I would assume they have to do when they design these lots and the game in general. So it's really cool about The Sims that they opened it up to the public, really, to us. So it's one of the few games where things are so customizable. So if you're not using your game from time to time, or designing with a little bit of Buydebug where you can see the unusual items in there, there's a whole section just for creating tombs. You know, if you haven't tried to create your own tomb, I would argue that you're not really getting the most out of your game, but everybody plays in a different way, and I get that. So, but this is the advantage. You see those little 2x2 square lights that are there? Those lights are an item that you buy from Buydebug. So sometimes if you're setting up, making a new house, or even just a new room, and you don't have the view that you think you should have, you have no light perhaps, then that's probably because Buydebug item is there and not an actual lamp. So that's most likely what's going on. All right, so aside from that, you have to use restrict, buy, and build It's actually by Buildebug. So I think I'm going to type these cheats down for you in the comment section or above the comment section, you know, in my general recap below, so that you don't have to go and look them all up on your own. I'll try to make it a little bit easier. If you've already been playing with these, I know the game's been out for quite a while, so maybe you already know about them, and that's great. But I've got to acknowledge that a lot of times people don't try new things just because it's not readily available. So if this can kind of open up your game for you, that would be wonderful. I'd love it if you shared stories with me too. Talk to me on Twitter. I don't get a whole lot from the hashtag. Well, actually, I think I just had one for my challenge, so we'll have to come up with a hashtag, I guess, for my builds or something. But I'm FrogSnack on Twitter, so you could just @ me and and talk to me there and let me know what you're doing in your game. I would love to have a conversation. And just find out how you play. It seems like everybody who plays The Sims, they do it in a different way. And I know the joke is most people just bury everybody in the backyard, but really that's just how you play The Sims the first, 3 hours or so. And after that, the whole game opens up and maybe you come up with new ideas. So I'd love to share ideas with you. So here I am adding a couple of little tricks into the space. So the horses have tons of room that they can exercise. I mentioned it before, but they look absolutely stunning running around the city, and it's just wickedly fun on horseback in this city. I don't mind the subway system and all that, but it's just so much cooler when you're just going for a ride. And, there's cars all over the place and just all of the large, huge buildings and the different kinds of parks. It just was a really cool experience. So, but essentially I added stables at the bottom level. I add more apartments. If you want to play a lot like this, if you notice right in front there's a little silver ball. That silver ball is a room marker denoting that the entrance is a public room. I'm going past it now to put troughs in, but the public room marker also means that when you go to rent the apartment, your sim is not paying for anything in that room. So the fact that the horse stables and everything else I've just created are accessible to the person renting, that's what makes it expensive. You still could go, again, through Buydebug and pull the public room marker and toss it into any apartment that you do not want your sims to have to pay for. So the way that I designed this is so that I think the entire building is open. I'm not sure if the entire building's open, but there's one public room, which is the pool. And then, of course, there's a public room marker all through the stairs so that your sims can get visitors and so that they can knock on the doors. And that's about it. So this is, I think, a $200,000 apartment, which is ridiculously expensive. So if you want to avoid that, then I would suggest go ahead, edit this before you have anybody move in and toss some Buydebug, through that menu, toss some public room markers into places. Excuse me. You'll also notice that there is a simple way to hide any rooms that you don't want to have be seen. There is a level skip marker, and I didn't have to use anything like that. This is, again, an entire lot, so it's not one of the high-rise shells. The high-rise shells, if you want to audit or if you want to edit them, it's really difficult to edit one of the high-rise apartments because you're not going to get all these floors in between. And I keep thinking that too. I get excited. Like, oh man, there's, 19 floors and my sim could just have this super epic, dive into their pool, which sounds dangerous. But you really can't do anything like that because the shell itself contains maybe 2 levels. So you can edit the ground floor, which I would suggest you do if you want more content out of those levels, which I've done a little bit. And I think I had a play around or another playthrough where I tried it. But at the time that I made that, I forgot too that it's the whole shell. It's just attached to the shell. And if you don't have, or if you need 3 levels because you have an entire family, or in this case, I'm moving in 5 sims into the Floodgate apartments that I've made the equestrian Floodgate apartments, that wouldn't do or doesn't do nearly as well if I have a level and a half with just a few squares for one family that I'm trying to cram lots of sims into because the shell will not have extra levels in it. So if any of this is a little advanced, I'm sorry, but please do feel free to ask questions. I know a lot of information is already out about the game, so I am operating based on the assumption that you've seen some of these options or you've seen people talk about them in forums. If that's not the case, please reach out. It really does enhance your game. It's ridiculously fun to go through and edit and to be able to change things. And if you can tell, I'm enjoying rewatching everything here, which is a little silly. So we're about halfway through the video at this point. I've still got a lot more editing to do. You're welcome to jump back and forth to see how things worked out. There's different areas. I kind of just worked on them as the mood hit me. But it ends up being one expanded apartment, two more below it, and then, of course, the large, very equestrian apartment. And then I'm able to move my Sims in afterwards and actually play, and it comes down to being a really great habitat for horses. So even though I skipped around a little bit on topics, it's lovely that you get prompted and that you can add the equestrian lots, but Bridgeport is notoriously hard, at least for me, to upgrade to put any other expansions into it because it's just not compatible. There is not space. You have to remove really cool lots to get other really cool lots to come in here, and I'm just not willing to do that. I actually like Bridgeport, but because of the amount of editing I've had to do, it's kept me away from it. But now that I have this lot, anytime I go into Bridgeport, I am most likely going to bulldoze the floodgate apartments and replace them with these floodgate apartments. I also did another video, and honestly, I'm not sure if it'll be up or not. I'll have to go back and check it. But I had a second build of a high-rise where I've edited everything on the ground floor just to show you more of what's possible. But if you can see, that's the whole building right there. And it's really a beautiful little lot. And because it is, 4 stories? Because it is so many stories high, you could just keep going and really build it up like a lot. But note that your game will have to load everything that's in this, and that's going to complicate things for you. So if you want to make it simple, you can start skipping levels. You can just delete items. If you want to build an apartment building and you only want to use one apartment the way the game does, what they do actually when you first get an apartment that's pre-made for the game is you'll notice all the walls, they're blacked out. All of the floors are blacked out. They'll have a hidden room marker so that your sim just naturally doesn't go in there, doesn't expect to go in there, and the game does not load it, sort of like when there's, in World Adventures, when there is a tomb or something and you've not unveiled that room. That's what the hidden room marker does. So again, if you go back into the question mark, into Buydebug, and just check out the tab all the way more at the right, then you'll find all of these room markers that I'm discussing. There are tomb room markers, and there's a marker for the final room of a tomb, so there's a lot you can do with it. But again, I just encourage you to play around, and if something doesn't work out, at least you learned more about your game, and more often than not, it's a gain. So I would always recommend that you try new things. It's easy to keep a game like this alive where so many things can be edited and adjusted in the first place. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this build. Gosh, sorry, I tried not to say too much. I know I am horrible at doing that in my videos. But thank you for sticking with me and checking this all out. If you want to see how it concludes, please keep watching. I'm going to toss some nice music on here for you so you can enjoy the rest of the build. And beyond that, I will have a playthrough that I've already filmed that I'm sure isn't too terrible. So as long as that came out well, then you should see that pretty soon too. And thank you. Please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. I appreciate comments, I think, the most, but everything's encouraging. Other than that, let me know what you think, what you've been inspired to do, and if you've seen any really great builds that I can showcase, or that I can link, in my videos to other people's ideas, I wouldn't mind doing that so that people can connect. Really, this is about the Sims 3 community, connecting in the Sims community in general. I know it's building for Sims 4, and I know it's already here and all that, but I've probably got, honestly, another 2 years before I ever get into that game. I am getting so much gameplay out of The Sims 3, and it's expensive to get all of these expansions, so I'm going to make the most out of it that I can. If you're interested in getting this lot, I'm going to attempt to put it on the exchange. I'm not sure what's possible. I might try to put it up on Mod The Sims. That's the community site that I've been a part of for quite a while now. That's actually where the thread goes for my Test of Time challenge that I play. And again, you can usually find good content there, even if I don't get this video up, but I will certainly try so that you have something encouraging that's maybe already made that you don't have to overdo yourself and try to make it again. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out and tell you guys to have a wonderful day, and thank you for sticking with me. This is Frog Snack, signing out.
times we've shared. Where did we go wrong? When we made the plan, now we're all looking down. The feeling of the underground, we never really understood. It's a new beginning now. We were all looking up, thinking of the times we shared. Where did we go wrong? When we made the plan, now we're all looking down. The feeling of the underground, we never really understood. It's a new beginning now.
walked these streets in 20 years or more, the dust still tastes the same. And everybody stares from the side of their eyes, just like they should know my name. And that old dusty wind still likes to blow, and I suppose it will till the sun don't blow. Now this old town can accommodate a kid like me when I had such big dreams. One side of town's too close to the other, it's even smaller than it seems. I've never quite gotten rid of the dust that flows near my bones. Oh, the sound of that wind, that when it blows it moans. There's a story in these streets, but it's so damn hard to find. The way he cracks forming concrete brings an old man's skin to mind. There's a story in every small part, scrape or a burn. But I can't find the story's heart, 'cause this town is so damn taciturn. So I had to leave this dusty old town, seen all there is to see. In certain circles I'm quite a famous man, but not as famous as I should be. People here wouldn't know such things, stuck in their lives as they are. They breathe in their days just like flies in a jar. Now, having walked these streets in 20 years or more, dust still tastes the same. And everybody stares from the side of their eyes, just like I should know their name. I've never gotten